pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we have comments from citizens. Are there any citizens in the audience that would like to make a comment?
Well, I'm here, and as most of you know, I've shared a copy of this documentary with you. I think all the city council people. I'm not sure about Dave. He asked me for a little more time to view it. I think most of you had a chance to look at this. So it's just something that I wanted to bring to your attention, something that there were a lot of unanswered questions that this brought up in my mind, and I thought that it may bring up some questions and concerns of the council, something that we might want to spend a little time talking about or looking into. So I didn't have a whole lot more to say tonight. I do have some handouts, so this would be the right time to
Yes, sure.
pass these out to the council people, and we'll give you, what are there, 4 or 5. I think I talked to John, he said he was out if you live in one. Press, I don't know.
Thank you.
Those are just, I had a few concerns. I talked to Mark a little bit about, Mark had took the time to look at it, and talked to him a little bit about
Please go.
how our meters, the issue that this takes up is the smart grid and smart meters. And there's a lot of national and international controversy and questions over the safety, the privacy, the security issues related to these new smart meters that are coming out. And I didn't know if you all had any questions of me, because I'm the one that kind of brought this to your attention, or if we could maybe set up a time, or I don't know what the right place is, if this is the right time and place to discuss some of this, or it would be better to have a different meeting, or.
This is the right meeting, but we don't have smart meters, so I don't know that it really is relevant.
Well, that's why our meters are, I don't know if they're quote unquote smart, as smart as the smartest meters out there, but they are a digital meter that emits a radio frequency radiation signal.
Well, when it's pinged, it responds, yes.
Well, not just when it's pinged, even according to Mark, every meter in town that's on a residence emits that signal every 5 seconds, every minute, every hour, every day, 24 hours a day. So I don't know what the math is on how much that is, how strong it is. But, that's one of my other questions is how strong is that signal? And does it fall in the right guidelines? Do we have any way to measure the strength?
Do we have a test meter or something like that we can check?
Like, check for signal strength? I do not have a signal strength meter, no, I don't. And I don't know what the actual, like,
Regulation.
Very
Why-
small because
like
it is
why
not
it's
regulated by the FCC.
How long?
yeah, there's
is
certain,
it?
I don't know that it's not regulated by the FCC, but it is
Septic
in the
license.
frequency band and a low enough power that you are not required to have a license to operate the system. But the FCC, it has to still comply with certain FCC regulations.
Okay.
And,
How long has it been in place?
we've had those meters, was that 2004? 2004, we started the AMR system. We call ours an AMR, automatic meter reading system, versus AMI is like an automated meter interface. That's more of your smart meters. And I'm not sure I exactly have the AMI acronym correct there, but that's the difference between ours. It's not a quote unquote smart meter like Ralph said.
Kind of like
It simply is just a meter that transmits its reading, so you can pick it up with a device when it's time to read the meters each month.
How far away are you?
How many blocks? depending on the meter. There's water in the meter jar. Yeah.
I mean, you usually can probably, what, a block away on the residential electric meter?
On the electric meters, probably easy, I can get electric that far. Now, water, I've got, because of the cast iron lid and stuff, I've got to be a little bit closer. I can start the thing up right in front of City Hall and probably to 150 meters. But
It's downtown.
that's downtown, there's a lot of
Right,
meters, close proximity right there, so, but that's,
So what we're talking about is the water meter and the electric meter.
Both of them use that radio frequency radiation signal to
Correct.
transmit to you. Now, it's not a two-way. I think you were telling me, Mark, that ours aren't capable of receiving
Correct.
messages back.
Right, and that's what basically makes it not a smart meter. The smart meters have two-way communication and do other
And
things.
can talk to appliances,
Correct.
the appliances that are equipped
Right.
with those features in your house.
Right,
And most of the new appliances coming out now are equipped. So the meter will be able to know when you have a specific appliance on.
I mean,
Not
that,
ours.
our meters will not do that,
Right.
and I'm not very familiar with the actual
That seems to
smart
be
meter
where the privacy
technology.
issue is, yeah.
Right, I would
Where
agree
the
with
privacy
that.
issue comes in is how far do we go to allow other people? And in some of these communities that are having more of a serious conversation because they do have the true smart meter, on the privacy or security end is that the utility companies are actually sharing or selling that information to third-party companies or corporations in order that they can use it for marketing to tell, what's your lifestyle. And they're only being able to figure that out by what's going on inside your house. Well, one of the questions in there, I think the second question maybe was in regard to the Fourth Amendment. What are the rights? I mean, how much right does our government have to know what appliance is on in our house at any given time? And then one of the other issues is, I think they call it TOU. TOU acronym stood for
Time of use.
time of use. Thank you, Mark. I knew if anybody had that one, it'd be you. Time of use metering, where they can actually bill you more per kilowatt hour at certain times of the day, and they'll be able to generate more revenue that way too. So there were a lot of issues. Lynn, I've got a copy of this now. Would you?
No, I don't want to see it. I really don't have an interest.
Okay. So if there were enough citizens that were maybe concerned about some of the issues that are addressed in this, is it something that you want to take a look at that point, or?
I would want to have enough information to address their concerns, but right now I don't see that this has any relevancy to what the city of Centralia does. If we were to try to do time of use, we have one meter, it's a recording meter, that we can put on a customer's service at their request and record. It's fairly cumbersome, but we can download and get that data, and that will merely tell us how the power goes over the course of a day or a week. It doesn't tell us what devices they have in it. We have no equipment for that. We have no need for it. We have no need for time of use because we buy our power at a flat rate, and therefore there's no advantage to try and control when people use various things because it doesn't have a relevancy to us.
All right. Appreciate that, because we're still buying, I mean, there hasn't been any, or let me ask you this, has there been any conversation between Ameren and our wholesale supplier, and the city, any of the administration regarding the implementation of a smart meter?
No.
No?
I
That's
haven't
good.
heard anything.
That's good, I'm glad to hear that. Because I think this is just something, at this point, it looks, from the information I've gathered and from what some of you others have shared with me, it's something that, if there's enough concern in the community and on the city council or the board of aldermen, perhaps even a moratorium on taking that step towards smart meters until they're better proven. The safety aspect, the privacy and the security issues, I mean, that might be even something that, it's food for thought, is all I'm saying right now. not necessarily
The-
proposing that.
The expense of changing out our existing meters, other than replacing them with time as we go along, would be so great that it would be something that would be discussed in budgeted for, implemented over several years, and would definitely be part of council deliberations, and put in the paper, and put on the YouTube video.
Okay. What if there were citizens like me who were concerned enough with the information that they've learned that they wanted to opt out of having a meter on their home,
No.
my home?
No,
Excuse me, may I finish my question?
sorry.
Thank you. I didn't interrupt you when you were talking, I appreciate it. If they had enough concern that I could opt out of having a digital radio frequency radiation emission signal leaving my house every 5 seconds of the day, could I opt out of that and have a analog meter put back on my house?
Wouldn't be read by the computer as we drive by, we would have to go back to manually reading. If we did that, I would have to recommend a surcharge, a fairly substantial surcharge, for the cost of individually sending an employee to read your meter as an analog meter.
So I would
You have television sets in your house.
Do I?
Do you have television sets?
Yes, I have
Fair-
a television set.
Okay. You have a cell phone.
Yes.
Those things use as much power.
I have a refrigerator also.
Yeah. Those have the same sort of electromagnetic fields that a meter that we use would put out.
Right, I can understand that.
I
I
mean,
know
if
it's
you're
the
concerned
same,
about Phil.
I know it's the same radio frequency. Well,
No,
the reason that I'm concerned is because of some of the testimonies that I've heard, not only in this, but in some of my other research on the internet, that people after the smart meters were installed, had some serious health problems and health concerns. It brought up a broad spectrum of people having a long list of problems. I mean, that information's in here if you're ever interested in just taking a look to see what the rest of the council has seen. I'll be right along in copy.
but again, we have not got smart meters and we have no interest in them at this time.
What if I were to opt out, put an analog meter back on my home and read the meter myself? And send
Not
that in?
recommend it, I would not recommend it.
How would I go about putting that into a formal request then? Can I do that
You
here,
just did.
verbally?
Talk to your alderman,
Yeah,
or your council, or councilman, or
I think
Lynn.
you would start with the alderman and elevate it. I mean.
Well, I think
to
I
this-
just
to
did
this
that. My
point,
alderman is
yeah,
Don Borman and John Angel, so
Yeah,
let me just make a formal request that I would like to have my old analog meter back and have my radio emitting meter taken off my home.
All right, I will talk with Lynn and to Mark and
Okay.
see what kind of options we have.
Okay,
Fair enough?
thank you very much. And if, does anybody else have any questions of me, or? Do you want to go over any of the other questions
No.
I included in the handout?
No, I guess your initial, do you have any, I guess, suspicions of any adverse health effects as of now for yourself? I mean, because in the video, like you said, there's been testimonies where people have noticeably gotten ill,
Yeah.
and they traced it back to the date.
No, the only thing I can tell you, John, and it's not it doesn't seem to be a serious health issue or anything else, but it seems like I noticed it about 2, maybe 3 years ago or so, in that range. I've heard, advertisements on the radio for something for ringing in the ears. And I thought, I don't know what ringing in the ears is, but I do occasionally, it's not all the time, but I do occasionally, and I notice it when I'm at home,
Right.
have a ring in my ear. And it's not even anything that stops me in my tracks or anything else. It's just if it's quiet and I notice it, it's like that grain guard that sits outside the community out here. And sometimes keeps me awake at night.
Right.
But I don't know, is part of this or not, but, you know, you saw the people
Right.
in here.
And
it's
in that
communities
video,
all over the country.
in that video, there were some dramatic health symptoms. And I don't know that we've had anything that has been brought to our attention
Right.
along those lines.
And I don't know if, I mean, this has only been brought to my attention in the last few months. I don't know of anybody who would even associate, if they had a ringing in their ear or another health problem or something, with
How long have you had the issue with the ringing in the ears?
2-3 years.
These have been in place since 2004?
Well,
Yeah, that's what
when
I'm
I
saying.
watched-
I'm not,
when
I
I
don't
watched the
know.
video, I noticed that when they put a bank of these
Bank of
meters
them.
on
An
a
apartment
apartment
house or
complex or
something.
something like that, the tenants in that immediate area were most affected.
right.
You know, some were affected by just 1 meter by their house, but, you know, our physiology, everybody's gonna react differently to different circumstances.
Well, and that was mentioned in here, that a husband may have a health complaint or something,
Right,
you know, nausea or something, you know, a whole long list of things. And the wife is not affected at all,
right,
living in the same home.
yeah.
But I know this, let me ask you, well, there's 5 of you, 6 of you here that have seen the information here.
Mhm.
Knowing what you've seen in this, if you had a newborn baby, would you put that crib up against the meter being right outside your house? Or would you put that baby's crib somewhere else?
I probably would not.
How about you, John?
I probably have a severe question about, especially, like you said, the bank of.
Right.
But that was, like in the video, it showed, what was it, 20
I think it was,
smart meters right against the woman's bedroom.
Yeah,
It was the bed frame, you know, right, other side.
yeah.
Now, and like we said, it could have been somebody that is less sensitive to such things,
Right.
might have been fine.
Mhm.
I can tell you the biggest thing that I saw in there that I thought was alarming was the microwave tower at the university that
Right.
there was a pattern that a grade school kid could recognize and they weren't doing anything.
Right.
If that's true, I'm one that don't believe that have seen enough that in movies or on the internet might give me a question or what, but I sure have just as much question the other way whether there's anything to it or not.
Mhm.
And that might be just because
You mean you're a little bit skeptical?
I'd be a lot skeptical most of the time.
I think most of us are. I'm
So-
very skeptical myself.
so-
I'm not here saying I have any proof whatsoever.
Right.
It's a lot of circumstantial stuff here.
And we can all see the same evidence and come up with different conclusions.
Right.
I know that the way they present that, they're funneling you to a conclusion. You know, I don't know independently, like I said, other than that college deal that seems like a true problem that was not being addressed.
Yeah. Another thing that I noticed in that video was the amount of increase that the person's utility bill went up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was substantial.
Yeah.
And they purport that it's supposed to lower your utility bills, but people's utility bills went up astronomically.
Did you name that video for the record? What's the name of it?
It's called Take Back Your Power, Investigating Smart Grid.
And
Quote, smart
who
grid.
produced that? Was that like a
This
History
was,
Channel or anything like that?
It says Big Picture Films presents a film by Josh Del Sol.
Okay,
Take Back Your Power.
all right.
The one
You
thing
can go to
that I-
takebackyourpower.net and get more information about the production
Okay.
and the
The
producer.
one thing that I've noticed about it is there's a lot of junk science in there. And I mean, just things that just absolutely are not true.
Such as?
I don't remember, I got so tired of it, I just quit watching it, but I mean, there was stuff in there that just cannot be true. If you have any idea of how some of this stuff works, it just is not, I mean, there's just junk science in there. Sounds good, sounds plausible, but it's junk.
Was there anything from this information, Don, that you looked at that concerned you, or
No, not
any
particularly.
questions about
No.
privacy, health, security?
Well, I mean, if it's a privacy issue, there are ways to get out of it. I mean, you can have buy appliances without the smart technology in there, so that they can't read back. Most of our appliances today do not do that. You buy newer appliances, maybe it can do that, but I suspect there's ways of disabling those.
I
For
would,
the most part, I'm not concerned about it.
I mean, I'm not a scientist by any shape or form. So I mean, I can't tell if it's junk science or not. You know, it's one person's opinion, and it looks like they did a lot of research in that. You know, I'm not gonna call it junk science, because I'm not qualified to call it that.
Right.
So,
No, I appreciate that. I just brought up enough concerns in my mind that I wanted to share it with you. And I'm gonna continue to share it with other members of the community, people that I'm close to or that I'm concerned with. You know, there just might, I don't know, be some people out there who have developed some health problems or some adverse reactions to this since it was implemented and had no clue whatsoever that it's because of a meter
yeah.
that's on their house. I don't know, there's a lot of unknowns.
Right.
You wouldn't suspect that anybody who has any health concerns, given an answer, won't immediately go on to that and say, oh, it's because of the meter? I mean, that's human nature.
It might, so what's the point?
The point is, it's anecdotal and it doesn't,
How do you know? You haven't even seen it. You don't wanna see it. You refuse to see it.
I read magazines about the electric industry day in and day out. I don't want to immerse myself in any more of it.
Fine.
Yeah.
Respect that. I respect that. Catherine, would you leave your baby's crib
Oh, no,
on the inside of the wall where the meter was? No,
No.
haven't seen this information?
no.
About you, Landon?
Probably not, but in some houses, that's the only place they got to put it. You know? But,
I just think that I'd like to continue this conversation, and maybe, you know, if you guys wanna have some more, do some more research, look through these questions that I gave you tonight. In fact, those are right off the TakeBackYourPower.net website. And just see if there's enough reason here that we as a community, it's something worth looking into. Or at least maybe making the decision not to go any farther to have a true smart meter, but I would like to know what the difference in the radio emission signal that's going out every 5 seconds is. Not only, even if I had the analog meter taken off my house, my neighbors
Right.
have their meters that can be read from 2 to 3 blocks away at the time. I just want to err on the side of caution
Right.
with this information. It was kind of alarming to me the first time I looked at this. Kind of an eye opener, and some of it is anecdotal, circumstantial. It's hard to prove that.
Would you not agree, Ralph, that with the internet age, there are lots of anecdotal information being spread that might, like I said, see certain evidence, certain events, and reasonable people can come up with far dramatically different conclusions.
Yeah.
And just as you say that you would like to err on caution, I don't think that it might serve the community to stir up a lot of undue concerns or, I guess, anxieties where we don't know. I mean, I'm happy, and I'm sure Mark, when you were asked, I'm sure you looked into some of this stuff. I mean, we can look, but before we start, I guess, stirring folks up too much. Would you give us a chance to kind of look into
Oh,
this a little bit?
Sure, and
I-
I hope, John, that you don't think I presented this information to you guys to stir anything up.
But I mean, it's something that that I almost feel like you're convinced that there's a problem before we truly
One thing I'm-
identified it.
I appreciate that. The only thing I'm convinced of is that this and the further research that I've had some time to do.
Right.
And I'm still continuing to research more apart from this, separate from this, independent, that I have enough concerns that, I want to err on the side of caution. I want to bring it to other people's attention. I want to let them form their own opinion. I'm not here to tell you that this is my opinion, and I think this should be your opinion too.
Right.
I'm not trying to do that.
But Ralph,
There is
we
enough
aren't
information in
looking
here
at
that-
going with this technology.
Pardon me?
We aren't looking at going to this technology.
How do we know that we don't already have the same level of radiation or radio frequency radiation signals being sent out as that next step in technology that talks and communicates within your home and back and
Well,
forth?
you realize you've been surrounded by EMF radiation since the day you were born. You
Yeah,
may be sending out more man-made, but I suspect that the total.
I do.
is
Have you
not-
read, excuse me, no, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I suspect the total is nowhere near, the incremental increase hasn't been that much considering what you have to live with every day anyway.
I don't know. That's what I don't know.
I mean, there's people that live under high power lines,
But I do, yeah.
or very near,
Or close to cell phone towers.
yes.
There's a lot of schools around the nation right now that have done enough research on wireless that they're actually taking wireless out of the classrooms and out of the school building. Because of a huge stack of, maybe again anecdotal, can't be 100% proven, but adverse health reactions within the school. And when the wireless Wi-Fi systems were taken out, there was an improvement across the board, documented improvement in those adverse reactions. So, but if you gotta come down to, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I can't do it. But this and the other research I've done has concerned me enough that, I don't wanna take the risk personally. That's why I'm asking you tonight,
Raising the question.
that I would like to opt out. The other thing I would like while I'm at it is to let you know that I do not want to be charged an extra dime for the privilege of buying my electricity from the city. I think the city's responsibility in selling me power is to meter it accurately, but not to do something that might damage the health of me and my family. Or charge me a fee to opt out of a system like that you currently have. I'd be happy to read my own meter, bring it down here, or send it in and give you the readings every month within a certain window of time, whenever the deadlines are.
It's
So
a very
that's my-
narrow window of time to be equitable to people. And while you may give us a valid reason to believe your reading and find it very trustworthy, I assure you there are a great percentage of people out there that would be happy to fudge on it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Can you give me some idea of what, I don't know if he's the last meter reader, but since I've lived over in Sunrise Circle 18 years, Jim Denham
Yes.
used to come, I'd see a flash in the back window if I was home, and what's the meter reader? And he'd read the water meter, the electric meter, and I think he told me one time and he had a full-time job. He did this after work, 2-3 hours a night. I think he said he was through in within a week or so. What was the difference within paying Denham or somebody like that to walk around and read the meters versus the cost of the computer systems, the mandating that, still having to have a guy drive around a truck? I know you can read 150 meters with a click at times. And I know it probably saves some money up here from them having to take his meter readings, enter them into the computer to do the billing. But what's the difference in cost? Can you tell me that? Can you figure that out for me?
It
Tell me what that
was-
was?
We did at one time, didn't we? I mean, we came close.
The relative cost was approaching the cost, incremental cost of buying the new remote read meters over just buying replacement meters that were analog. And we realized an increase in accuracy, a great increase in accuracy. If you have one person manually reading and another person transcribing that written information onto the computer, that gives you 2 points to get the mistake in. We need that. And having the remote read has improved the accuracy enormously.
And it saves time and convenience, I'm sure.
Time, and then like over a week versus
Oh,
what
no,
it
it
take
took, he was constantly reading it throughout the month.
throughout the month,
Just kind of rotating.
a rotating deal.
So,
Right. If I remember correctly, I think it took him about 40 hours a month to read all the meters.
And it takes me about 2.5 hours to read them right now. She can download them in about 5 minutes and have them start printing almost immediately.
So, I mean, I can understand taking advantage of technology like that. I mean, it's like, who's still using an IBM selectric typewriter to send out their memos? Nobody, you know. We go with technology, but
I usually
has
text
technology,
envelopes.
has technology gone a little too far? We'll spy on you through your dishwasher. That was David Petraeus, Army General, ex-CIA director, who said, "We will spy on you through your dishwasher." Quote.
Why would they do that when they can do it through their cell phones?
How far is too far, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm glad to know that we're not, but is it any of you have enough concerns that the city could spend? I mean, I got online and Googled anywhere from $29 to $200 for a meter, and Mark could probably be more lucky to know what an accurate meter would be, but if we could get a handheld meter for $150 or $200 and do some testing, let Mark do some testing. I'd even be willing to lay him and test my house, you know, and just see how strong the signal is.
But is
What
it,
is
it's not the signal, you're after the radiation, are you not?
Well, and that's
That's
what
part of
he
it.
means by radiation. When he says radiation, he's not meaning like radioactive radiation.
Radiation like this.
Just talking to,
Mark can look at the spec book and find out what the rated capacity of that radio is. And
that's what I'll have to look and see. I don't think it was in, I looked in the paperwork that we get with our display boards that have the radio built in, and there was nothing on there that told me what the power output of the radio is. It tells me the frequency on there, the range, doesn't even tell me the exact frequency, it just tells me the range.
And go to the vendor and ask.
And so that's what I need to do. I'll inquire with the vendor. I just hadn't,
And ask them,
Done
because they
that.
do sell smart meters also,
Mhm.
I'm sure. Ask them if there's a difference in power rating.
right,
And I'm sure we can find out what a typical television or cell phone does, and I suspect that there is a vast difference.
you,
Do you know what the manufacturer's warning is on an iPhone or a cell phone? Have you read the fine print in your little book when you buy your phone?
No.
It says, "Do not hold the phone any closer than 5/8 of an inch from your ear." Have you ever read that? Every cell phone in America comes with that warning in very fine print in the little book. Now, I don't know how far
Use it
5/8 of
often
an
enough.
inch is, but I found myself doing this anymore.
Most of my use is right about like that.
That's,
You don't wear trifocals?
I have my focal point.
Got that?
Okay, I appreciate you
Thank you.
coming in tonight.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate you.
I think we all got some more research that we can do on our own.
not me.
That's fine. You don't have to do that. But I'm gonna look into it some more.
All right, moving on. Any other citizens that have comments?
I'm Randall Simmons, live at 127 Sunset Lane, Centralia, Missouri. Ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Aldermen and Warren Barron, City Administrator, I want to concur with Ralph on a few things. Primarily, some people seem to think there's going to be an almost instantaneous reaction to radio waves or radio radiation, whatever. And sometimes that is, and sometimes it isn't. However, would we want to go back to a world with lead paint? Or DDT?
Yes.
We're getting DDT from South America. And also this other stuff. I don't know if it's over the house too, but I don't know if it's from radiation from a meter. There was 4 species of birds we no longer have at the house. There are no blue jays, there are no wrens, there are no woodpeckers to speak of, 1 or 2 maybe little ones, and orioles. So something is driving them away. Another species that's missing in the area is a spring peeper. If we want to hear spring peepers now, close, we have to go down to the old greenhouse. Now we haven't sprayed DDT in the area, and I don't know what else is going on. Maybe they're going across road and getting GMO crops, I don't know. But there's something going on, and it's very subtle. And frogs and birds, since they live in the environment, especially a frog, absorb things through its skin from water. There's something to pay attention to if they're no longer there. And Mr. Magley, I'm sure you're probably up on the EPA's attempt to get a very common ingredient in concrete considered a hazardous material. With practically no studies, just an EPA mandate. So I just wanted to bring that up. Some things don't happen quickly, some things happen over years or even decades. Probably remember the camel commercials on television.
Camel, you say?
Camel, Winston.
Walk a mile.
Okay, the
Yeah.
cigarette,
Yeah,
not the hump day.
not camels, no. Not camels. But they're a prevalent eye creature that fit. But I just wanted to bring that up as a way to kind of maybe make you think about things in a little different way and over a period of time. Some of these things can be very important. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you, thank you. All right, any other comments? Moving on to the water and sewer department. We have an activity report in our packet. Anybody have any questions or comments?
We got all the manual covers and everything located for the GIS stuff.
I think we're there, well, behind the old green thumb, there's 2 there that I cannot locate. And then between the sawmill and Highway 22 on Sweeney's property, there's 4 there, and I think we've got 2 of the 4 located.
Okay.
That's it. We're pretty close.
All right, thanks.
Okay,
The water meters, I think we're good.
sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on, backhoe disposition?
Phil went and talked to Henderson and got sort of an average price for the backhoe and their estimate, and presumably an upper range estimate. And without saying it, I mentioned it to Mr. Magley. It's a decent price in my mind, but I'm not an expert in equipment. I suspect it might be in the range that would be acceptable to the special road district.
Okay.
As another government. And I would like to go talk to them about whether they would find it acceptable. But if the intent is to maximize revenue under all circumstances, there's no point in doing that. We'd be better off going to an auction of some sort.
I think we ought to work with the special road district and offer it to them as a fellow governing body.
I have a question.
Sure.
Would we have to pay a fee using a public auction service?
Yes.
Sure.
You always pay a fee.
Whether we take it to a regular auction, or we go to govdeals.com or some of those others,
Okay,
they all take a percentage.
Okay, based on that information, is the figure you have. Okay. If you were to take the percentage that you would have to pay from that, or add to it, wouldn't it be about the same?
Well, we don't know until we negotiate with them to find out what they want, or what they're willing to pay.
And I'm not trying to be here, but if I say it, then that's probably what I'm gonna get.
Right, no, I
If
understand.
that, by going to the.
I understand, but my question is, aren't you going to realize about the same by working with the public road district as opposed to the extra?
I can't guarantee that. I don't know. Which is why Phil went to talk to Henderson to get a ballpark on what their estimate would be.
I mean, the flip side of a sealed bid or auction, it could go either way. I mean, we could end up with way less, or we could end up more. You never know where equipment's at, or who happens to really want it at the time.
I concur with the mayor.
Did you do that in the form of a motion?
No, I just said I concur with the mayor.
Well, I don't know that we need a motion on this, we just need a
Well-
consensus.
Well, I want to satisfy the will of the council. It doesn't mean we're good to come up back to you and say they're willing to pay this amount, and then we say, oh, no, we think we can do better. And
Is that the figure you're working off of? Because it's different than these two.
well, these are possible figures, and that's
That's,
the best guess as the upper reach of what we might get.
I'm happy with that figure, I'm guessing.
I can try.
If it's down there, I'm telling you, you're probably better off
Uh-huh,
going
yeah.
and doing something different. If it's that top figure, that would be fine.
I'm not trying to scalp another government either, but
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I'm looking after the constituents, and that you said 2/3 of the people, the our folks are in that district, and it's, I agree with all
if
of it,
not more.
if not more.
Yeah.
And I just soon help out my neighbor as opposed to somebody
Down the street.
out that, you know, way down the road.
Yeah.
So,
Well, one thing, whoever buys it, I mean, immediately they're gonna have to put the tires are gonna have to be replaced pretty soon. So, I mean, you're gonna be out $1,500 to $2,000 pretty quick, so
Yeah.
that's something to figure in, you know, somebody's gonna figure in when they start trying to buy something like that.
I mean, I think we should negotiate with the road district.
If we're talking about negotiating this range, you're better.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we have no idea what they're willing to pay, I think we need to find out.
Yeah.
I think we do a disservice if we don't even discuss it with them.
Yeah.
I'm all in favor of letting them get a chance up front to buy it if they want it.
Landon?
Just don't give it away, man.
I don't think.
That's what I say, just don't give it away. Cause I think there's people out there that can spend money for it.
Well, that's true.
A lot of equipment being bought right now.
But I would still be willing to sell it to
Lot of
them for
equipment.
somewhat less than I would to a private individual, simply because we do trade work with them, and it can be to our benefit with the chemist machine.
No less than that.
Low.
No less than that.
So,
To a neighbor.
all right, does that answer your question, Lynn?
I hope.
Okay, negotiate away.
Yeah.
That.
Neither would I.
All right,
We throw in.
is there any other
I'll
under?
report back to you by at least quarter.
Tuesday.
Okay,
Well, I don't know about Tuesday, but they may not have their board meeting by then. but
Right.
I hope they have an answer.
Okay.
yeah.
The 18th?
You still calling it.
We'll see.
Any other under water and sewer? No? Okay. Public Works, we have an activity report. Anybody have any questions? permits, excavation permits, we have a handout. The proposed ordinance.
And I didn't get it done in time for the council packet, I'm sorry. There are changes, in keeping with what you suggested, last time. Spec 1 inch clean, when it's in the right, paved portion of the right of way.
Right.
At least an 8-inch resurface course, with the surface course extending a foot out in the margins beyond the excavation, so that the shoulders. And I did add the number 4 rebar on 30-inch centers to there. And there's a provision, I kept the fee at $20 for a permit. Not trying to make money, just the cost of doing the inspection. But if we have to do the inspection after hours, then it will be double to 40. On the other hand, we're not trying to gouge the other utilities, the phone companies or hammering gas or anything like that. They can submit just one permit, and if they have multiple holes in the ground, that will be dealt with at $20 a piece, but they don't need to take out separate permits for all that. Most likely, this will have the first immediate impact on plumbers. We already require insurance from a plumber working in the right of way that's the same amount that's in this ordinance, and have the same provisions that they have an out with a cash bond.
Okay.
So I didn't get too technical on that. If after reading that, you want to make some more changes, or take back some of the changes I made this time around, I don't see us having a lot of work coming up during the winter time, so there's no rush on this.
So, but basically it's gonna be just 6 inches of concrete, right?
No, I,
8 inch.
Says it.
Well, then you got 2 inches of asphalt on top of that,
No.
cause you're gonna leave it 2 inches low.
No, well, it's poured, it shows it poured flush with asphalt or concrete.
right.
Well, you don't want the concrete spot here and a concrete spot over there all over the road. You leave it 2 inches down on the asphalt street, you come back and put asphalt over top of it, it looks like the same. Looks like nothing ever happened.
Rather than you got a patch there.
Well, then that would look better than a concrete spot every 50 feet, all down the road.
So you're saying,
But as you see it on the highway all the time.
I guess I wasn't picturing what Alderman Magley is suggesting. I was saying to myself, if it's an asphalt street, they're going to put an 8-inch asphalt patch on it. If it's a concrete street, they're going to put an 8-inch concrete street patch back on it. I wasn't thinking that there would be 8 inches of concrete with a final course of asphalt on it, particularly if the original street was just asphalt.
Well, I think that's what Columbia does require, they require an 8
they
inch.
do.
But they really require 8 inches of concrete and then a 2-inch left asphalt. It's not 8 inches of asphalt.
So it'll be 10 inches of the patch. The repair would be 10 inches
Yes.
thick.
But, well,
There's concrete always
if it's
involved.
originally a concrete street,
Then you'd only have the concrete.
Right.
but
Yeah, then
if
you
it's an
come right-
asphalt street, then you'll have concrete in asphalt.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what Columbia requires. The question is do we want to require that? I don't know that this.
I can imagine a milling machine hitting that and going,
Yeah.
you know, if you happen to then do a subsequent general overlay and you lose track of where the patch is,
Right.
that might come to be
Problem.
a real
Yeah.
problem. And
Yeah.
also, if you're talking about a long trench as opposed to just
The hole in the ground.
Yes.
a small hole in the sort, then it might be more difficult for our men doing utility repairs to get through it.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on that, you know?
We're over here arguing, we're over here discussing.
Obviously, we're not gonna take this.
Well, I mean, like Mike just had a good point, I mean, if we get a bunch of cuts out there, and I've already got a project going, I'm not gonna be able to keep up with
And you
Going
can't
back and-
always get asphalt.
and patching them back, so I mean, that would be, you know, an argument to just concrete it all the way up. But then I can see Landon's point, you know, then you got concrete patches everywhere. But, I mean, we're not necessarily gonna be able to keep up with them all the time.
On the other hand, if you drive down the highway
Yeah.
department does put patches in of
See,
concrete
that's
to the
what-
surface.
That's what Amber's contractor does right now. When he patches them back here in town, they're concrete all the time.
Yeah.
There's several of them in town like that.
You're on
I mean, personally, I don't have a problem
Hired
with
Burton
it.
near Vodemar.
They've done several
I don't
that
think
are
I've been.
concrete all the way up. That's how they do them.
Obviously, this is something that is getting far afield from what I envision. With your indulgence, at the next department head meeting, we'll argue this out and come to a consensus among ourselves on what we're gonna recommend to you. And
Well, let me give you an example of what I'm thinking right now. Today we dug and we were about 2 foot into the road. I'm gonna have to get 3 yard minimum concrete just to fix what we did.
well, you have to over excavate.
Right. But still, the hole's not that big. What are you doing there? You still want the,
Well, you can
yeah,
fill
we're
it
gonna
with,
have to mix.
you can fill it with rock temporarily and then patch it back, after you get several of them, if you're working in several different areas.
They'll be doing that.
That's
what's
kind of
gonna-
what,
that's
that's
what's
kind of what
gonna
we do
happen.
right now.
Well,
with
because, yes,
asphalt
you're right,
patches.
otherwise you're gonna pay for your 3 yards of concrete.
And I hate to do that when you're only gonna need
Half
this
a yard.
big square corner or something.
All this was just to get rid of flowable fill.
Florida Field is sounding a little bit better, isn't it? Now, read a letter from, I read a letter from Don Bobbitt, and he was saying something about it that should have worked, that there should have been some kind of, there was 2 different products or something like that. Did anybody else get that memo?
No?
Where we put flowable fill and where the final level on it was, it did not settle. It really didn't. That part was good, but you also couldn't dig it back up like we were supposed to be able to. And that was the problem we run into if we needed to do it, or if it got so far that he was tied up on a project and then he needed to go dig it out to put asphalt on top of it. He couldn't hardly dig it without cutting it. So we were basically getting concrete.
Sounds like they didn't get their bag mix of concrete right.
Well, that's why we have the problem,
Right.
you know, we're trying to address it, is because we don't use it frequently enough that it's something they do regularly and have everybody prepared to do it. It's such a rare thing that there's no consistency in what we get.
Yeah. I mean, we do see patches in our streets right now where we've got rock, where they've been dug up, and as Phil gets time, he goes back and puts asphalt down. We could end up with the same thing in some of these others, and I don't see that the rock is a problem as long as it's not a long-term solution. It's a short-term solution until you get a few of these where you're ready,
Make it worthwhile buying.
make it worthwhile. As far as contractors are concerned, I mean, if they're just there for the one job, I mean, that's just gonna be a cost to them. It won't be, it may be a substantial cost in some cases, additional. But usually that's a fairly small part of the overall bill.
I mean, you can order less than 3 yards.
Oh, yeah,
It's yours to
order,
get billed
you just
for
pay
it.
for it.
You just pay a little extra for it.
I mean, the real question is do we bring it all the way to the surface on asphalt or leave it down for an asphalt patch? And during the winter time, in December, January, and February, you can't get asphalt.
So those months we throw it in with rock and then in the
Or
springtime. we do-
putting in 2 inches of rock won't do anything
Yeah, it won't stay in there.
because it won't stay.
Knocked out of there pretty quick.
Okay.
You know, and that's the only reason that, you know, I see it on the highway, that the highway department, on I-70, I mean, they bring concrete patches all the way to the surface. Even where there's a concrete, or asphalt overlays, which is virtually everywhere on I-70 at this point. And it works. I mean, it's not a real problem, so I think that we could probably do the same. Does it look the best? If you really don't like the color, you can sprinkle some black powder on it and Not black powder, the explosive kind, but,
So when they mill,
they can mill concrete too.
okay. Different machine or they
Uh,
just slow down?
Same machine, it slows down, and I'm not sure that are there different attachments on there?
I don't think so. Not for like the ones for skid loaders and stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
we can mill both with the same machine.
You can use the same, you're gonna slow down a lot.
Do not recall an instance where we've had any milling machine do concrete. We've had milling machines in there doing asphalt. So we'd have enough room to do an overlay, but not concrete.
Okay.
But if you're gonna put a concrete patch in there, sooner or later, you're gonna run into that with the milling machine regardless. If, you know, if we wait long enough and we do some of these streets. Landon, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think we gotta bring it to the top. I mean, yeah, you said it's on I-70, but that's I-70.
Yeah,
You're in a town.
I realize
You
that.
want spots all over, you wanna go down Jefferson Street and look like a checkerboard?
We can always put in, you know, some, black on the surface of it.
But that's me.
Could it be seasonable, which you do, when asphalt's available? In winter months when asphalt is not available at the plant, you go to the top? Would that do?
What's Columbia do during the winter time? They have the same problem.
They bring it up to the surface of the concrete all the time, don't they?
No,
No.
they leave it down 2 inches. I
don't
think
know what
Columbia's
they
back
do.
is 2 inches.
Bill, you can research that.
Do they? Do they have the
Find
ability?
an
to-
answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you, around here, plumbers are gonna stop at the edge of the road before they go in the road if this is gonna be the case. I've already got them doing that. I mean, they don't wanna get out in the road. They're okay with dumping the 1 inch clean. Cause they can do that and get that compacted somewhat and be good. But if they're not gonna have the access to the asphalt, they can do the concrete, but they're not
Well,
gonna wait without doing.
The asphalt was on us.
Huh?
The city was gonna do the asphalt.
Okay.
And the concrete was on the contractor, right?
Well,
Isn't that what we decided?
the way it's worded now is basically the contractor does both, but with the concurrence of the city will do it and just bill them if they're a small-time business and doesn't have the, which is what we frequently do now.
Yeah.
That's not really an issue, if we just charge them what it costs us. They may have sticker shock, but it's still fair.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's a one sentence at the end of one of the paragraphs, you might double check that to see.
Yeah, we'll be doing it. I guarantee you,
You'll be
that's the
paying us
way.
to do it every time if that option's in there.
Yeah, we're cheap labor.
Well, then doing it in batches of a couple of patches at a time to justify the concrete load make more sense.
Well, I'd say the concrete, that should be on them no matter what. I mean, the asphalt, if we're gonna do that, would be us, obviously, but we've gotta go back and do that, then we're gonna start billing them labor and stuff, because we got time digging them all out and getting them ready.
All right. Well, if there's not any hurry on this, let's get, you guys come to a consensus.
And when we throw it out there, we'll get the contractors back in here to give us their comment.
Well, we probably ought to have some of them in here.
Okay.
Okay. Next up, sanitation.
Under streets, just,
Oh,
it's sort of a public safety and also public works. I did ask Phil when we're opening up Whistler Street, and he has dry weather, to put a crosswalk in across Jefferson
okay.
from the end of the sidewalk at Chief Dungeon's cross to the west. That comes in the citizens' requests, and it's seemed pretty common sense request that there are lots of kids that come across at that point.
Well, it makes sense, other than there's no sidewalk on the other side, is there?
No, there's not any, they'll be going eventually to the street, but at least it gives them an outlet and a protected crossing for people that would be
Yeah.
using our new sidewalk as a handicap access point.
It certainly makes sense.
So, that'll require painting a couple signs. Yes, sir. I'll find it.
I know.
Bill?
It should be open tomorrow. They're hoping to have, when they get everything cleaned up, and open up tomorrow.
That's excellent news. That does not mean the project is complete. This means traffic on the street.
To make some of the citizens along that street happy.
Okay,
Oh,
No.
yes.
Speaking
Okay,
of, road signs,
yes,
I did notice a 15-mile-an-hour sign in the neighborhood out behind the subway there.
Yes.
So I hope that that is, functioning as it's supposed to.
I don't know. I asked Larry, but I didn't get a very specific answer.
Okay. I drove out there the other day and, I didn't see a whole lot of vehicle traffic on that road, but, 15 mile an hour seemed an adequate speed for that neighborhood. So,
Well, psychologically, I don't know whether the people who bust a 5 mile an hour speed limit will pay any greater
Right.
attention to 15 miles. per hour.
probably not, but it's up there, so,
okay,
thank you.
not a problem.
I think the judge will be the feedback Larry gets from the citizens on the street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, sanitation, anything to report on sanitation?
Got trash, picked it up and hauled it to the dump.
Anything on storm sewer?
No?
Okay. Other, we have roof repairs. They tell me we had one bid.
Only one response to our ad in the paper, and that's from DMB Construction. It's in Centralia contract, small contractor, to re-nail or replace all nails, and tighten down things and recoat the roof with, I believe, Phil,
Yeah, it was that product I showed you
Was
guys.
it that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sample product?
Last
Yeah.
and furnish all that with it, and
Is there a,
$5,430.
how much?
$5,430. That's a complete roof, right?
Yes.
Does that come with some type of warranty? The product has a warranty or something?
I'll have to check with him. I know he has a year on all his, I think it was on that sheet.
That's what's on
Yeah.
here, and that seems to me light. So
And-
you
but
might
the-
see if we can get
But
a
the,
longer
but the
warranty.
material, I think it does have a lot longer. But
Yeah,
I
that's
can
what I-
find out for sure.
I'd like to
Expect
know
the
that.
material, we
Yeah.
have a longer, warranty on it.
DMB.
All right, I guess we'll move forward with the contract on that at, our regular meeting.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that kind of expenditure with only half a dollar in
One and a half.
there. No.
It's all right.
Sorry. I
Okay.
still would think it's probably
I think so.
benefits from waiting until
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Okay.
All right, electric department, we have an activity report on the electric department. Are there any questions or comments on that? Anybody? Any other under electric department? I think we already had that.
On, item number 21 here, you got the, 500 block of South Collier Street with the
Yes.
LED light bulbs. Those working pretty well?
Yes, I, satisfied with those. I think the comparison to what we had there is a little bit less light, but, it looks really good for that block.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a good experimental spot for them, based on the, some of the readings that I took and, measurements of the actual usage of 150 watt high pressure sodium versus this 45 watt LED, take about 5.5 years to pay for a light bulb.
Okay.
So the payback isn't terrible, but it's not great yet, and so, I think it's, the LED technology is getting better and better, the prices are coming down, eventually it's,
Like flat screen TV,
it's,
started 5,000,
yeah.
worked their way down to 400 real
right,
fast.
so,
Yeah.
but, drive down there and see what you think of it, the
I
type of
do.
light,
Yeah. It looks nice.
A lot of people like it because it's back to the white
Yeah.
light versus that yellowish orangey look of the high pressure sodium style.
So we're gonna start replacing those.
I don't know that I'd recommend doing that right now. That was a spot there with 5 lights in a row, just on that one street.
Okay.
Like if you had a light fixture go bad on Jefferson Street, and then you stick one LED in there
Right.
with the amount of lights that you have, or downtown here or something, they might stick out a little bit too much like a sore thumb. So I don't know, I'd recommend that right now.
Yeah.
Plus, like I said, I'm satisfied with these, but I think they're gonna get better also. I'd like to see, let the technology develop a little further before we
Jump too far.
jump. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds good. Any other electric?
A little more than that, not much more than that.
Any other? Lynn?
There has been a rise, Catherine's already mentioned, that next week is Veterans Day,
Yes,
so the committee will be moved to Tuesday,
right.
which is nice, because I have every hope that we'll have a football game on Monday, and I'll have to be selling everybody sandwiches
Yeah.
and concession, and hopefully they'll be here, but who knows?
Credit is having to have a.
And there's also-
5:30 on
Yeah.
Right.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
That should be far enough along that
Yeah.
Mayor might come back. The only drawback to all this is that the veterans ceremonies at 6:30, on Monday.
Monday, yes.
So is that one where they ring the bell for every?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Pardon me, sir, is that one where they ring the bell for every KIA?
I do not know the details
I
of the
think
ceremony.
that's Memorial Day that they do that,
Okay.
but Dennis,
You know which one I'm talking about, they're the
Yeah.
still standing at the gazebo.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe that's Memorial Day.
I think that's correct. too.
So,
I'm not
yeah.
sure what they do on Veterans Day. I've been to it. I don't.
They usually have a guest speaker,
Right.
and, but I don't think they read all the names.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You already mentioned that, the Creddy open house, or the social,
Yes.
5:30 at Ford Chevrolet. Everyone's encouraged and welcome to attend. So, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Okay, motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? We're adjourned.
All right.
If you
Thank
wonder
everybody.
why they think that the grid's gonna go down on 14,
All right.
I've had some emails about it, and there was that National Geographic.
Good to see you, Joe. Thanks for being here.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
I will catch up with you later.
Okay, man, sounds good.
All right.
And one of the emails, there was the question posed that is this a prelude to what's gonna happen on the 14th, on the 13th or 14th?
what would be, there's no sunspots or anything like that in the cycle. It's definitely not peak usage of the grid.